Hey, I'm Alex Radcliffe from Board Game Co, and this is News and Week in Review, where we're going to focus on a variety of news pieces, the videos this past week, the games we covered, upcoming games on the table, well, games on the couch, and then we'll also be talking about Awaken Realms next this past week. Anyways, let's go ahead and start off with Steamforged news. Steamforged apparently took on the rights for 6th Siege. Steamforged announced they have a whole blog post, they have a whole post over on the Pledge Manager, they also have a post over on the updates, but effectively, Mythic Games had the 6th Siege board game, which unfortunately, a whole lot of drama around that. If you don't know about that, there's an absolute ton you can look into, but effectively you probably aren't getting much from Mythic Games, if anything, going forward. To that end, there are a lot of people who did not get 6th Siege, who did not pay what was called the ransom, basically more shipping fees, but to a exorbitant amount. And effectively, it looks like Mythic Games is taking over 6th Siege, and they're also being kind enough to give some degree of credit or leeway or discount to people who haven't gotten their copy yet. You can go ahead and go through all this. It sounds like there'll be a pre-order for it. It sounds like there'll be more content for the game coming as well. As someone who is a huge fan of the game and as someone who has been sad to see what has happened to it under the helm of Mythic Games, it's nice to see someone else picking up that mantle. We also have over here, we have Lost Ruins of Arnak, the Adventure Chest, going to be released Q3 2025. This is coming to you from CGE, and it's a big box for Lost Ruins of Arnak, but it's not just a big box. It's also a new board with corruption mechanics. I actually had a chance to play this at WSBG. The designers, Min and Elwin, were there demoing the game, and I got a chance to play it, and I liked it. I liked that. I need more thoughts, but they're still balancing a lot of things, but I overall enjoyed the corruption mechanic and some of the things that let you do within the game, while also liking the new map. And then of course no one's complaining about a big box either. That's a lie. Someone's definitely complaining about a big box. I'm not complaining about a big box. Moving on, we have Plaid Hat with Ash's Ascendancy. They announced a bold new feature with Ash's Ascendancy, coming off the heels of last week, where we talked, I think it was last week, where we talked about the nature of their Fantasy Flight taking their games and putting them in kind of a legacy mode, so to speak. Ash's Ascendancy is going forward with a print on demand on their back catalog. So as things retire, they'll go to print on demand, where you can go ahead and print out whatever you want using a print on demand service. They go through it over here, but they also, if you want to read more about it, you can check out Stonemeyer's blog about it, where he talks about some of the intricacies of it, some of the things you can do with a print on demand service like that, both from Ash's, from Plaid Hat, as well as from Stonemeyer. There were interesting aspects of this announcement over here. We also have Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles are coming to protect the Castle Panic board game. Castle Panic, a very popular, kind of almost like a family weight tower defense game, a cooperative game from a Fireside. Is it Fireside? I think it's Fireside. I'm pretty sure it's Fireside Games. Where is it? I just want to make sure I get this right over here. Teamwork, Fireside. I'm pretty sure. I'm like blanking on, I can't see it in the article here. It's probably somewhere. But Castle Panic, which I'm 99%, Fireside, there we go, found it. Coming to you from Fireside Games, Castle Panic is going to be licensed with the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. So if you haven't had a chance to test it out yet, this might be a chance to go ahead and dive into it. And if you love Castle Panic, this might be a good chance to dive into it. And if you don't like Castle Panic, this probably won't change your mind, but it kind of depends on what changes they bring to the system as well. And then lastly, we have Flamecraft Duals. This was already up already, but I got a chance to play this while I was at Gamma, and I really enjoyed it. So now I'm telling you, Flamecraft Duals exists. Flamecraft Duals is the sort of follow-up to Flamecraft. It's not really a follow-up. It's a two-player abstract game utilizing the Flamecraft IP, the Flamecraft art, obviously. And I think it did a good job of being overall accessible, leaning into a category where it'll be very easy to play for those who are, you know, Flamecraft fans or gateway gamers and all that, while having enough interesting decision-making skills that I enjoyed it as someone who likes a little more heavy, a little more meat in my games. So that's going to be Flamecraft Duals, coming to you from Carbon Alchemy, April 29th. And that is what we have in the news category, which means, why do I have this over here? No, there we go. That's basically what we have in the news category, which brings us to Awaken Realms next. Awaken Realms once a year, towards the beginning of the year, which is February now. Well, I guess it's March now. Awaken Realms towards the beginning of the year generally puts out a press announcement for the games you can expect to see from them over the course of this year. And this year they have 7 games, which I think is the largest they've ever done. I know they've done 5. I'm not sure if they've done 6. 7, I believe, is the largest they've ever done in a single press announcement. But they just covered basically their upcoming lineup, and we'll just go ahead and dive into each of those one at a time very loosely. Usual disclaimer from Coming to the Income from Awaken Realms or more Gamefound focused. I am CMO of Gamefound, please take that into account. But that said, they have 7 games over here, and we're going to go through them in order of the least followed to most followed. And by the way, that order also surprises me. Some of them I would expect to be the least followed. For example, the Tainted Grail Fall of Avalon PC game Collector's Edition. Oh, I should also note before you watch this, there's a full stream. If you want to watch the full Awaken Realms next from Awaken Realms, they do a full stream going through all these. It's going to be a lot longer, but also a lot more in detail. So if this whets your appetite at all, go ahead and check that out to see, well, more. But we have Tainted Grail, The Fall of Avalon, currently with 2,300 people following the campaign, which makes sense. This is a PC game. There's definitely going to be overlap, especially with Tainted Grail fans, but it's not going to be the exact same audience, not by a large shot. But Tainted Grail, they have the collector's edition of the PC game, currently the least followed of the campaigns, giving you some extras, some goodies. This is going to kind of fall into, like, you know, getting any video game in the collector's edition. Like, get the big giant box and you get a huge miniature and early access and extra things in the game, that kind of situation. That's Tainted Grail, The Fall of Avalon, PC game collector's edition. We also have the Dragon Eclipse The Grand Quest coming in with 6,800 people following it. This surprised me as being the second least followed. I totally would have thought that, well, we'll get to the next one. I would have thought the next one would be under this one, but hey, this is what surprises are for. But Dragon Eclipse The Grand Quest, this is going to be a standalone sequel to Dragon Eclipse with tactical combat, story-driven gameplay. The key thing that surprised me in this one is the standalone part. This is a standalone sequel. It's not just a sequel, so you don't have to have bought into Dragon Eclipse until now. You can get this to get more content for Dragon Eclipse. You can also get it to start off your Dragon Eclipse journey with this standalone sequel to Dragon Eclipse, the, you know, kind of Pokemon-esque card game. Pokemon-esque collect dragons and face off against baddies as you try to utilize a Arc Nova type action system to take on everyone in your way. Then we have Labyrinth Chronicles from Awaken Realms. This is very surprising to me. Ravensburg, well, specifically the fact that it's 8,800 people following this campaign over here. This is Labyrinth, but given the Awaken Realms treatment, which is astounding. Like, Labyrinth is obviously, if you've ever played it, it's a very, very mass market game that has a wide degree of accessibility. It's fun pushing in those tiles as you try to create and structure a labyrinth, but it does tend to be on the lighter end. Like, I remember playing this game in grade school. There's not a lot of games I have memories of playing in grade school. This is one of them, but it's being given the Awaken Realms treatment. Over 30 million copies sold, now back with an Ultimate Edition, easy to learn, hard to master, and we have these giant walls, as you would expect to see from an Awaken Realms game. So this is taking that very mass market gameplay from Ravensburger, from Labyrinth, and then taking it and the most complete and polished edition, including the classic game. So you'll be able to play the classic game, pushing these tiles on and off, which is insane to me. But then, I mean, it's not insane. I guess it makes sense to have deluxe things. It's not only hardcore gamers who want deluxe things, but it's still very interesting to see this. And then also including a new adventure mode. Discover a brand new version of the gameplay, which means I am obviously going to end up playing this, but I don't know what to expect. I don't know if I'm supposed to expect a game that is simply not for me, or whether to expect a game that manages to take something that I've moved past as I play more designer games, and then take it and turn it back into something that I would play once again. Either way, I'm intrigued, surprised, but this has 8,000 people currently following the page. Then we have next, Below the Asylum, Awaken Realms, an action horror board game where elite agents battle threats in a haunted asylum. Now what's interesting is this has 9,700 followers, and arguably this is the only, like, full-on Awaken Realms game. Well, that's not true. Dragon Eclipse is Awaken Realms, obviously, but that's a sequel. Tainted Grail is a PC game. Ravensburger Labyrinth is going to be them taking another game, deluxifying it. Two of our next ones will be them doing the same thing. Like, this is the newest Awaken Realms, like, full-on title that you expect to see this feast, and it's the 4th most followed. Sorry. The campaign is scheduled for Q3 2025, and this is going to be giving you an action horror game, very much in the Awaken Realms, but leaning into a horror theme, and frankly with an art style that doesn't fully appeal to me, although I'm constantly reminded that last year when they announced, what was it again? Oh my gosh, Grim Coven and Lands of Evershade, I was not at all excited for Lands of Evershade. I was very excited for Grim Coven, and after playing them, Grim Coven's good, but Lands of Evershade was, oh my gosh, amazing. So expectations are never necessarily lining up with reality. Then we have this War of Mine 2nd Edition from Awaken Realms for Q2 2025 with 11,000 people currently following the campaign. I'm sure a lot of people are going to be happy to see this. This for me was a game that the first time round wasn't a game that I loved. I can see why people love it, but games that force me to really just grind and do everything I can to stay alive while the game hits me with everything bad along the way is not my kind of game. But this is, to a certain extent, more of an experience, more of a journey. Like, if you want to feel like the horrors and the despair of war, this will have you doing that as you desperately try to collect everything you need, only to have someone come along in the night and steal from you, ruining all your plans. It's not even the way the game is structured, like attacks and things to pay. The game is structured in a way that feels like you are constantly hit and never able to let up, which does, I guess, a great job as far as the thematic interplay, but it made it a game that I didn't enjoy. Well, I saw the promise and enjoyed parts of it, but ultimately not one I would totally go back to. But it is very popular, it has its audience, and now it has a 2nd edition as well. Then we have Agricola Dead Harvest from Awaken Realms, scheduled for 2026. This is actually coming out next year. But Dead Harvest over here is basically Agricola, but a zombie version of Agricola, which has many people incredibly excited. Again, we have 12,000 people following this page right now, which means lots of people are interested enough to see what's going on, but the comments are a combination of, oh my gosh, I'll finally play Agricola, as well as comments saying that, oh my gosh, Awaken Realms jumped the shark. Like, does this come with the shark that Awaken Realms jumped? It's very interesting. I like zombie games, and I've liked Agricola, so I will definitely play this, but I don't really know what to expect from it. You reload your rifle, eyes locked in the approaching horde, they're close, too close. Like, this just feels like a zombie game. Where's the part where it's Agricola? So I'm very intrigued as to what they're going to do with this. So are 12,000 other people, and we'll find out more in 2026. And then in Q2 2025, we have Agricola Special Edition. So they are being separated. One's coming out next year, but we have Agricola Special Edition coming from Awaken Realms. This is obviously familiar to those who have seen Puerto Rico or Castle Burgundy. This is Awaken Realms once again taking a very popular Euro game, deluxifying the heck out of it, and then putting it out to whatever degree. I mean, Castle Burgundy has been obviously incredibly well received. Puerto Rico is still waiting, so we'll see what happens there. This has 15,000 people following, by the way. So yeah, I mean, it'll definitely be a way to jump back into Agricola. I've always liked Agricola enough that I will certainly give this one a shot, but I don't yet know if it'll be a keeper. Like, to me, I want to see them do Caverna. Like, I want to see a full-on Caverna, because that would be, I love Caverna. I have Caverna. I got rid of Agricola. I replaced it with Caverna. Or that, or Feast for Odin. I don't even know if that's something you could. Either way, I'm excited to see this continued trend of them deluxifying games. It's very much, especially if they're games I like, or if they're games, well, especially if they're games I like. Anyways, that is your Awaken Realms kind of general coverage of the games they've covered. Again, check out their full press everything if you want to see a much longer conversation around these titles. But with that, we're going to go ahead and dive into the week in review. For the week in review, the videos we covered this past week. On Sunday, I covered is tabletop content creation broken video. I got a lot of responses. I still have to reply to a ton of them. In general, a lot of people seem to agree with the general premise. Like, this specifically, I don't think this was a clickbait video. I say in the first 2 seconds. I still have a few people who say it's clickbait, but I really, like, I'm not going to fully dive into clickbait, but what I will say, clickbait in general is when you're specifically trying to drive, well, no, clickbait specifically is when your title and or thumbnail does not match up with the content. You bait people into watching to watch something that's not what they're interested in. This is what I would say is a controversial topic, which does pull people in, but I don't believe it's clickbait. I could be wrong. Once or twice in my channel history, I have engaged with what I would call clickbait, and I usually try to avoid it. I don't mind trying to have a controversial conversation. Those can be very interesting, but it's still going to be things I believe in, and I'm going to only say things I think, because I think that's usually the best way to do things. Either way, if you do watch the video, it's basically me talking about the problems that content creation in the tabletop space finds itself in, generally due to the size of it. There's a lot more to dive into this. There's a whole conversation around tabletop ethics that I do want to get into. There's somebody else in the board game space, Mike Dunn, who talks about tabletop ethics, that I want to get into that as well in further conversations. It's ultimately a very hard space to balance, because it's big enough to need kind of a larger degree of oversight, while also being small enough that is very hard to manage while keeping the space alive. This is a larger, more complicated conversation, but in general, the Is Tabletop Content Creation Broken video kind of covers the perverse incentives that are at play for anyone to actually be able to call this a job and in any way get paid for what they're doing. Usually ends up creating conflicts of interest that we don't see as heavily or as badly in larger spaces. Either way, I'd love your thoughts on the video if you check it out, or if you've given your thoughts. I still am going through comments. I was away at Gamma this whole week, so I'm still catching up on all of that. Then I had a video on Monday, general Gamefound updates. Ever since I took a job at Gamefound, once in a while I will do a video covering new things coming out. I try not to do them too frequently, because after all, this is a Board Game Co channel, but every once in a while I will do so, and it's a weird balance between covering the news and covering Gamefound. I always try to do the best I can, and you are fortunate. Thankfully for me, I'm very grateful for the fact that you're all very receptive in the way you handle it, the way you approach it. So you give me a lot of grace and understanding, and you generally trust me, which is more than I can possibly ask for. So thank you for that. But in general, Monday was a Gamefound update video, just covering some things from a Gamefound side, Gamefound updates, things they've done, things for creators, plans for the year in 2025. So that was Monday's video. On Tuesday, no, not on Tuesday, on Wednesday, we had some stats around the Level Up library, around Level Up Retreat, the games I played, the games checked out of the library, just general conversation around just the activity the library saw. So that was Wednesday's video. And then on Friday, I believe, I think I'm doing the days right here. On Friday, no, I'm messing up somewhere. Wednesday, Friday. Maybe I'm doing this right. I'm not sure. Friday might have been this. Friday was the games I wanted to table. Basically looking at 3 videos I did over the past several years and covering how many of the games, there are 3 videos that were games I want to play, and then me doing a recap of, well, how did I do? Did I play those games? Did I not? I did pretty well over the course of the video, but the last video I certainly tanked in how well I got those games to the table. This is almost a precursor to the fact that I have 3 videos, one that's already gone out and 2 more coming out, that'll be covering the games I want to play in 2025, of which I have 35 games I'm trying to play in 2025. I mean, a lot more, but 35 specific games I'm trying to table. I've already gotten a bunch of them done, but a bunch is like 4 or 5, and we're at the end of February, which means if I'm statistically averaging it out, I should have gotten 6 of them done, basically, in order to be keeping up pace. So I'm going to go ahead and take a look and see how I'm doing. I know I've gotten at least 3 done. I'm not sure if I'm up to 6, so I got to pick up the pace a little aggressively to get these done. Anyways, that was the video. Those were the videos this past week. There was no weekly live because I was at Gamma. The games I covered this past week. Several games I covered. I did a review for Propolis over on Saturday. Propolis was unfortunately not for me. I didn't see a compelling reason to play that over a game like Splendor or over their own Point City, which I drastically preferred. Bonesway was covered by Meg on Tuesday. This was something I didn't play, so I don't have thoughts on it. It looks cool, I'll say that, but I don't have any further thoughts past the visual aesthetic of the game, but it looks cool. I actively do want to play it, and that's the most positive thing I can say about it right now. Then Blasphemous. We covered Blasphemous on Tuesday with a preview and a gameplay. Blasphemous had a lot of fun elements going on for it, and this is my like little mini review, and I've actually played it 3 times, which is interesting. Well, 2 half plays and then the full play, but Blasphemous is a little interesting. My mini review of it would be that I really liked the ways you level up and upgrade your character, like the wandering around the map, the reading from the book, a little luck driven at times, so that might be a little bit too luck driven, but basically building up your dice was fun, gathering new abilities was fun, having different penitents and choosing how to take a turn, all of that was fun. I would say the biggest problem is it's not a game I'd want to play above 2 players. I think it just slows down after that. I mean, 2 players gives you that necessary, not necessary, but enables the gameplay more, and at 3 or 4 I think the gameplay is starting to slow down. This is even worse when you get to fighting off on the Nemesis, where you basically have to wait around kind of while other people do their thing, which brings me to my biggest complaint about it is the Nemesis feels too complicated for what it's trying to do, meaning it's a different system. It's not actually as complicated as it might look, but it's just overall too complicated without being rewarding enough as far as the final penultimate showdown. So there are a lot of things I do like about Blasphemous, but then the final boss fights are not for me overall. So overall, I enjoy it. I like it. In its current form, it's not one I would seek out as heavily. Then we have, moving on to that, we have Catopomp. Catopomp is a shedding game, a trick-taking sort of shedding game. I like it. The art and aesthetic and theme didn't pull me in. The overall puzzle of balancing your hand made me enjoy it, so I definitely enjoyed it. There's no question there. I think that when it comes to trick-taking or shedding, I look for the best of the best, and I would say this is a good 3.5 out of 5 for me. I like it. I enjoy it. I would happily play it, but it's not the ones that hit into that echelon of like, oh my gosh, look what fun thing this game is doing. So I liked it, and a 3.5 out of 5. Then there's Arydia. Arydia, the past video tread, gave it a 4.5, did a longer review of it. And it's interesting, because in the review I said that I think I'm around halfway through the game. This is me being told, I was told there's a 50-hour game, and we're probably around, this is guesstimating, probably around 25 hours in, but based on the comments, it looks like there are people who are many more hours in, and they're not quite at the halfway point, or they don't feel like they are, so maybe it's one of those things where 50 hours is if you're playing it really efficiently, and maybe we're just taking too much time with things. So it could well be that I'm less in than I thought I was. Either way, none of it really changes my opinion, at least not yet. Overall, I'm enjoying the experience. Overall, I thoroughly like and recommend Arydia. I gave it a 4.5 out of 5, but it has gone down a little bit since my original review of the game, just based on the fact that as I'm going through it, I would say I feel a bit more repetitiveness in the mechanics as opposed to being able to... I think that the arc between as my character upgrades and how fast I get new things that change up the way I approach combat, that's happening slower than I would like. And that's making the mechanics of the game to be slightly a little grindy at times, and that has lessened my rating by half a point. Anyways, that is Arydia. Then we have did I do a review of Kathmandu? I think I did a review for Kathmandu from Queen Games. Overall, I really like Kathmandu. It's from Stefan Feld. I generally enjoy Stefan Feld games. I gave it a 3.5 out of 5, though, because it very much is on the lighter side. Not a bad experience by any means, but one that I've played through. I've tried the longer mode, the shorter mode. It's fun. I enjoy it, but it's not hitting the same vibes that a stronger Stefan Feld game might do. And then lastly, I did a series of 3 reviews for the Detestable Games for Patsakuro, Cosmic Cow Collectors, and Neuro Riders. All of them are fine. None of them have really impressed me. I would say that Patsukuro to me had a lot of promise to it, but the Pratsukura, I liked the score mechanism, but not the gameplay, how you get things. Cosmic Cow was fun, and I actually have kept that one for now to show to my kids and all that. But Neuroriders to me was probably my least favorite, but all of them had a good hook, and all of them ultimately gave me decent gameplay, but not great gameplay. Which brings me to today. Today, as far as the games, the coverage you expect to see today, the reviews, there'll be a review for Manatee Sanctuary going up, as well as a review for Daybreak from CMYK Games. Manatee Sanctuary being an active crowdfunding campaign. Both of those will be going up later today. As far as next week, there'll be a bunch of things, but we'll have an upcoming crowdfunding video. I know it's late. Usually I try to do it the last day of the month, but again, Gamma, so it's late. It should hopefully be going up Sunday, a upcoming crowdfunding for the month of... What month am I looking at? March, April, March, dear Lord. Then also have a Games Leaving the Collection video going up as well. Then probably I might have a review for Federation. I hope to have a review for Federation. Things always get moved around when it comes to reviews, but I hope to have that going up. As far as the games on the couch, as usual, these are games I hope to be playing this week. We have Peninsula from Karma Games. This they sent me as a roll and write that they have. You can currently late pledge this right now, but I am intrigued. He said good things about it. I haven't played it yet. I'm in the middle of the rules. We'll be diving into it soon. We have The Wizard of Oz, one of the few games I came back from Gamma with. Gamma's usually not a show you come back with a lot of games. It's more about connections and meetings and all that. But The Wizard of Oz came back with this, which I'm excited for because ever since watching Wicked and then The Wizard of Oz, my kids have been loving The Wizard of Oz, so diving into the adventure book should be interesting. Like I played the Lord of the Rings adventure book when that one came out, and that was fun. It wasn't like, oh my gosh, I'm going to keep this, but I played through all 8 missions, so I expect to play through all of this that we're not in Kansas anymore. So that will be hopefully be playing this week. We have Innovation Ultimate, which arrived while I was gone. This is the newest version of Innovation, a game I love, and I'm very excited to dive into this new version. I hope to dive into it this week. We shall see. And then lastly, Crafting the Cosmos. Just got this right before Gamma, brought the rules with me, hoping to read it and prep for it. Did not do so. Too busy doing other things, but I hope to be playing Crafting the Cosmos as soon as I can because this looks beautiful, and I've heard good things from those who have played it. So those are the games on the couch. And with that, I'm Alex Radcliffe from Board Game Co. I appreciate you being here. I hope you have an excellent week, and as always, I hope you have a good one.